Hi, it's Alice, and I'm back with a market update for the Victoria Real Estate Board for August 2025. Let's go. First of all, if you hear licking in the background, that is my old dog. She's 14, and she's grooming herself, and she's deaf, so I can't really tell her to stop. So that's what that is. And yeah, I'm a little bit behind in my real estate stats this month because I wanted to wait for more things to come out to quantify what I'm experiencing in the market, but it's just a bit slow, so I'm just pulling the trigger. But so here I am. And so for sales in August, we had 525 sales go through, which was down 3.7% versus last August. So kind of boring, flatline there. Active listings, we had 3,600 active listings on the market at the end of August, and that was up 12.8%. So again, that slight increase, we're still seeing that. So there's lots to choose from. Let's look at single family homes and condos, and then I'll go into my little notes about what else I'm seeing in the market. So let's go. And I'm going to use my notes because I'm not a robot. I'm not AI yet, so I have to read them. So the benchmark home price for August was 1.308 million, up 1.6% year over year. Average was about the same as 1.302 million, and that was up 2.2% year over year. The median, though, was interesting. It's down to 1.14 million. So that's down 3% versus last year. I feel like there was some expensive properties that were dragging up that average and the benchmark price to me, because the median kind of, in general, gives a better representation of what's being bought, like what are most people buying. And so there's just a bit of a jump there that's kind of interesting. So, and I'm finding a lot of people are shopping in that median range. So I would go with the median if you're thinking about values for now. Sales of homes were up 6.3% versus last year, and that was 268 that sold. So for condos in the Victoria core, we had a benchmark of $551,000 roughly, and that was down 1.4% versus last year. Average is $583,000 roughly, and that's down 2.3%. And the median is pretty similar, is $526K, down 2.5%. So sales were down 16% versus last year, so that trend has continued. So slow on the sales front for condos, and pricing is honestly pretty flatline as far as I'm concerned. The one thing I did notice that kind of jumped up a bit was days on market. It was at 53 for the combined listings in the Victoria Real Estate Board. So it was hovering around 40 days on the market for an average, but jumping up to 53 kind of ties in with what I'll talk about in a little bit. But let's look at what's going on with interest rates, Toronto, that kind of stuff. Let's go. So according to a study from BMO, we're looking at up to 3 rate cuts by spring 2026. We're looking at the next announcement on the 17th, so pretty darn soon. And basically the motivation for that, or why they're predicting that, is because the job market is a poopy. It's not good right now. So Canada lost 66,000, I want to say, 66,000 jobs in August, which in July it was 47,000, I want to say. Yeah, so the job market is not good. And you're seeing the biggest losses in the science, tech, information, I want to say. Alternately, even though you're hearing that there's decreases in construction, across Canada, construction was the main industry that saw increases in jobs. People like me, real estate, were fairly neutral. We're kind of in the middle. Their general reasoning with the job losses, et cetera, means there's less spending, so less consumption, less disposable income, and less people looking to buy houses. And so BMO thinks that the goal for Bank of Canada would be to get to a neutral rate, which neither increases nor decreases that consumption. So basically, we don't want to ramp up the market crazy, but we also don't want it crashing into the basement, which it already is in some areas. So we'll see what happens, but they're predicting a 75 basis point cut in total by the spring. So we'll see what happens. We'll see in a week. So as I've been updating on Toronto and Vancouver, they're the same. It's still terrible over there. They're not having any increases. It sounds worse than ever. So I recommend you go see Ron Butler's channel if you want to watch that. Not great. Now, I've been saying that Vancouver Island has been insulated from that mostly, and I think it is very location dependent, how bad the market is or how good it is. And the East Coast has been actually holding up very well and strong in some cases. But I am starting to see a shift. And because I've been saying this for months, I've been saying, I'm not feeling it here. I'm not feeling the crash here. I'm not feeling the crash here, but I will say it does seem to be changing temperatures here. And I've been in the business for 7 or 8 years, I can't remember. So I've been through many end of August seasons and markets, and it feels a little bit different than normal. Now, this isn't surprising because if you look at news articles, analysis, stuff like that, you'll see that in real estate crashes, we've already surpassed the 90s crash as far as Canadian real estate for severity. So right now we're clipping at the heels of the early 80s crash. We're not there yet, but that if it gives you an idea. So Vancouver Island remaining completely separate from what's going on, it probably isn't realistic. But what I have noticed is that I right now am quite buyer heavy, which I love. And a lot of my buyers, they're actively looking and they want to buy things because like 90% of them have babies. I have babies at every showing and I love it. It's awesome. So lots of shopping going on. But what I'm finding is that we're looking at places and a lot of these houses are fantastic. And if it were last year, it would be gone. And they're sitting and in some cases coming off the market and they're lower priced than they would have been last year as well. So I get a little bit of a disparity in the vibes, I suppose you'd say, because I read articles just like anybody else does, and it says, prices are going to start spiking soon, and we're already in recovery. But I've gone this whole entire 2025 season on Vancouver Island, at least mainly Victoria, and it's felt pretty solid. But I will say in the past month and this early half of September, I'm not going to say it's tumbleweeds. I'm just saying that there are properties that should theoretically have already sold. There's no reason that they shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with them. And in any other market, they would go. And I'll go a few weeks later and just check up on them to see, did they sell? What price did they go for? And they're still just sitting. So I don't know. I'm not sure which way our market is going to go. If I'm not honest, that I'm nothing. Okay. So that's all I'm saying is I am noticing a bit of a shift there. And anyways, for me, I'm not saying it's crashing, but I'm saying it doesn't feel like a recovery to me right now. I don't know. But I've been wrong before. But that's the vibe check from me being out in the field. So if you are searching for properties, even with a different agent, if it were me, I would probably expand your price a bit higher than you're actually looking, like higher than you normally would go above, because properties will decrease. And if you kind of have it on your radar, at least you can jump on that. But I am expanding my client searches higher than I would normally, just because of that, because there's room to negotiate and it's pretty easy to get into a contract. And personally, the only thing that I see changing this is either some kind of massive job growth, which, hello AI, I don't think so. And have you been watching videos about the job prospects for the future? I don't know. It's not pretty. So unless that changes, or the interest rates go back to like 0% or 1%, I don't know how it's going to change very quickly, because it feels like you get a slight reduction in rates and it takes like 6 months to a year for that to actually take effect, like in action, in practice. So yeah. So as it is right now, it's slow, in my opinion. Maybe it's fast for other people in their markets. They're going at a good clip, but yeah, I don't know. I'm finding people are very open to negotiation, and it is at a snail's pace. So yeah, maybe you're happy, maybe you're sad, depends on which side you're on. So now there was one thing I looked at, and I have to look at my notes for this because I just pulled this out of my computer. So I wanted to see if there was a difference in the canceled, withdrawn, and expired listings versus last year, to see if that's jumped a lot, because that would show that people are struggling and they're canceling and relisting. But it's not. It's actually 2025 had 1,214 of those canceled, expired, withdrawn listings, and 2024 had 1,242. So they're almost the same number, and 2014 was higher. But the one I did see was price changes in August 2025 was 1,142. And that was up 17% versus last August. So they had 945 price changes. So looking just year to year, you see that difference in the price change. So maybe that is a leading indicator. I don't know, but that was the only thing I could find. But take it for what it is. So I think that's all I've got for you for this month. And yeah, I'll be back at the end of September to let you know how it's going, if it's still going into the gutter or if it's getting better. But if you're buying, have fun. And if you're selling, have some patience and have a glass of wine. Don't stress out. It'll sell. And yeah, anyways, I am Alice Kluge signing off for this month, and I'll see you later. Bye.